All right, let's dive right into this explainer. We're about to enter a world where following the rules just leads to more chaos, where an entire village can be smaller than its own Wi-Fi signal, and where the biggest challenge of all is just surviving the complete absurdity of the Indian education system.
So to kick things off, here's a quote that just perfectly sums up the kind of twisted logic we're dealing with. The government says you can't litter with chip packets. Okay, fair enough. So what do people do? Well, they follow the rule exactly. They dump the chips on the ground and keep the empty packet. This is the kind of creative rule following that you're going to see a lot of.
First up, let's take a trip to Indore, which is famous for being the cleanest city in all of India. But how, you ask, does it manage to keep that title? Well, the methods are, let's just say, they're a little unconventional.
So what is Indore's big secret to staying so perfectly clean? It's simple, really. Nobody is actually there to make it dirty. The joke is that the residents are so obsessed with cleanliness that they literally lock up their houses, drive to other cities, and make a mess over there. It's a ridiculous idea, of course, but it's a perfect jab at this obsession with appearances.
And this obsession gets pushed to this dark, hilarious extreme. Just imagine this. There's a notorious criminal who's been on the run for years. What's the thing that finally gets him caught? Not the murders, not the kidnappings. Nope. It's because he mixed his wet and dry waste. You see, in this city, that's the real crime. Getting the procedure right is everything.
Okay, so from the squeaky clean city, we're now going to zoom way in, shrinking our focus to the narrator's tiny hometown. This is the micro-village of Kitkia, where, believe it or not, the absurdity gets even more intense.
This village is so ridiculously small that a single Wi-Fi network covers the whole place. In fact, that's literally how it got its name. When it came time to actually name the village, the locals just went, let's just call it whatever the Wi-Fi is called. Why make things complicated, right?
So life in Kitkia operates on a totally different plane of reality. If you go for a brisk walk, it feels like you're speeding down the highway at 80 kilometers an hour. They've actually installed speed bumps for people walking. You literally have to wear a helmet to go for a jog. And if a friend asks you to share their location, don't even bother. You're already there. The whole concept of distance just completely breaks down.
And now let's zoom into the real pressure cooker, the heart of the Indian academic world, the coaching center. This is a high-stakes, high-stress ecosystem that produces some truly bizarre situations.
So get to know the 10th grade teacher. This guy's been teaching the exact same grade for so long that he's basically stuck in a time loop. Every single year, some grateful parents give him a computer. He now has a personal collection of 70 ancient Windows XP machines, which he's brilliantly daisy-chained together so he can play Grand Theft Auto. It's a hilarious but also kind of sad picture of total burnout.
The logic of business here is just as wild. There's this one student who was so good, other kids just started assuming he was the teacher. So what does he do? He just rolls with it. He opens up his own rival coaching class right next door, hires his own set of teachers, and pretty soon he's more successful than the guy who was originally teaching him, all happening under the same roof.
And the way they celebrate success? Oh, it's absolutely ruthless. Every year, the coaching center puts up this big banner of its top students. If you manage to score in the 90th percentile, you get this huge, glorious photo carefully glued onto the wall. But if you score 60%, you get a tiny little photo tucked away in the corner that's been literally nailed to the wall. Turns out the difference between being adored and being an afterthought is about 30 percentage points.
And that brings us to the main event, the grand finale, the board exams. This is where students from all different schools get mixed together, rivalries flare up, and the whole system for preventing cheating turns into a spectacle all on its own.
You can just feel the culture clash at the exam center. The bragging rights are, well, they're different. A kid from a private school boasts, yeah, well, our school is built on a cemetery. The government school kid just shoots back, oh yeah, the cemetery is built on our school. It's just this gritty, hilarious game of one-upmanship.
And you know, inside these schools, you find this incredible resourcefulness. The narrator points out that the bathroom stalls are way more than just toilets. They're basically the most complete public phone directory you can find, especially if you happen to be looking for a girl named Shreya.
But the real drama, the real action, happens during the exam itself. Every student lives in fear of that surprise check for cheating from the invigilators. So you have to wonder, just how seriously did these people take their job?
Okay, so this isn't some teacher quietly walking down the aisle. No, think more like a special ops raid. A team of 5 guys bursts into the room. They set off smoke canisters, and then, get this, it's revealed that one of them was already inside, working undercover, pretending to be a student. They even bring in a sniffer dog. You'd think they were hunting for a crime lord, not a couple of cheat sheets.
And here's the punchline to the whole insane operation. After all that chaos, the students do get caught. But not for cheating. Nope. They get caught because they failed the drug test from the sniffer dog. In a perfectly satirical twist, the school was looking for the completely wrong crime all along.
So, once the exams are finally over, a whole new circus begins, the media circus. And there's one story, one narrative that you see every single year. It's that inspiring tale of the poor, underprivileged kid who overcomes impossible odds to become the top scorer. But this whole narrative has become this bizarre competition, almost like the hardship Olympics. One year, it's a kid who studied under a streetlight. Okay. The next year, it's a kid who studied by the sparks from hitting 2 stones together. Then, there's the one who supposedly studied only during flashes of lightning. And the latest winner? He apparently topped his exam using the faint glow from a single firefly. The stories just keep getting more and more absurd.
And that leads us to the final, brilliant, piercing question that this whole thing has been building to. It's a simple question, but it pokes a giant hole in that entire media story. If these students are so incredibly poor that they have to study by the light of a firefly, where on earth are they getting the money to pay for the exam form? And on that note, we'll leave you to think about it.